Alright, this is the short video. I'm not sure how short it's going to be, but this is basics of how to use a spreadsheet on Google Docs, and I'll put the sharing feature in there again. Alright, so I did a test document last time, showed you how to edit it and type stuff in and share it with a person. This time I want to create a document. There it goes. A Google Sheet. Google Sheets. So it'll open up a spreadsheet. And again, it's not as powerful as Microsoft Excel or some other spreadsheet programs out there, but it has the basics built into it, which is all you really need in a spreadsheet. So when you're dealing with a spreadsheet, everything is address. So for instance, here this is column A, row 1. So if we came over here to this cell, this would be column B, row 6. And as an address, like say I type some numbers in there, and I want to create a formula, the first thing about formulas is you have to hit the equal sign. Once you put an equal sign in there, the program understands you're going to do some kind of programming. And one way of programming is to use a cell as part of your formula. So if I click on this cell B6, in the cell C6, after the equal sign, it'll automatically put in B6. If I want to add on another cell, I can just hit plus, and say I want to add on A1. If I click on A1, it throws in A1. And if I hit enter, it'll just give me 2323. Now if I go back to A1, which is way up there, and I put in 2, it should change the number in C6 to 2325. And it does. And that's the beauty of spreadsheets. It allows you to do interactive changes without going through and recalculating a lot of values. So if you had a calculator, you'd have to go back through and change everything. With a spreadsheet, if you just want to change one value of a formula, you can just change one cell of the formula. And that's the main power of spreadsheets. It does multiple calculations rather quickly. Alright, so let's say we want to get a little bit more complex with our formulas, and look at some functions that are built into this thing. So let's say I keep the 2 here. I'm going to delete these 2 cells. I really don't need them. So if you want to delete them, just hit backspace. You can also right mouse click, and there should be a delete, clear nodes, insert nodes. I guess you could always use cut. Cut will take it out of there. But backspace works perfectly fine. So let's say I put a few numbers in here. 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going a little slow because of the video I'm taping at the same time. It normally doesn't go this slow. And let's say I want to take these numbers and add them. So I'm going to put the formula one cell away. I'm going to hit equals. And when you add on a spreadsheet, it's always a sum. So you use sum. And when you type in SUM, it gives you all the possible formulas that are associated with SUM. So the first one is the main one, which is sum. SUMIF is a conditional. I'm going to add if something is going on. I don't know what SUMSQ is. Let's see. Sum of the squares. Well, that's just kind of crazy. Let's go back to sum. SUMIFS. Sum arranged depending on multiple criteria. Oh, that gets even more fancy. I wouldn't even use most of those. I would just go up to sum and hit it. Now when you hit sum, it gives you how the formula has to be typed in. So for example, you have to show a range of cells. This A2 colon A100 means you're going from the second row all the way to the 100th row in column A and adding all those numbers. Now the second one, I'm not quite sure what that is. Value 2, optional, repeatable, additional numbers or ranges to add to value 1. We're going to leave that blank. Now you can either type in A1 colon A6 or click on the first cell and drag. Oh, I tell you, this video thing is killing me. Come on. There we go. So it dragged all the way down and it went A1 through A6. If you hit enter here, it'll show you that the sum of those 6 numbers is 27. So that's one type of formula you can throw in here. Let's say I wanted to find, let's say I wanted to add titles before this row. So I'm going to go up to A, I'm going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to say insert 1 left. And what that should do is create a whole new column, call it A. The cool thing is it pushes everything over into column B, and the formula changes with it. So instead of being A1 through A6, now it is B1 through B6. So let's say we want a title here. This is the sum. Maybe I want underneath it the average. So the average of numbers is, you add them all up and divide by how many. Now on a calculator you would literally have to add 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 7 and divide by 6. With the spreadsheet, it already has that built in, so you just got to select the cells, it tells you how many, and it takes all the numbers in there and adds them together. And the function is average. So you type in aver, it'll come up with average, and it gives you some possible ways of doing it, different ways. And one of them ignores text, like if you had words in there someplace, it would just ignore it. There's those ifs again, but we just want a basic average. So you click it again, and it tells you how to, type the formula in. And all I want is the average of these numbers. And once I get them all selected, I hit enter. So the average of those numbers is 4.5. Alright, what else could we do? We could come up with crazy formulas, like for instance, distance equals rate times time. So if we have distance, I'm going to go across the top this time, rate. If you just start typing, it just gives you titles in the columns or rows and time. So let's say I want to find out how far I travel going, say, 55 miles per hour, and the time has to be in hours, so let's say 1.2 hours. Well, what I want to do with those two numbers is the formula distance equals rate times time. So here's distance, it's equal to rate. So I'll select that cell. Now multiplication on the spreadsheet is the star, which is Shift 8, and then the next cell, time. And they're color-coded, so it's kind of nice. And if you hit enter, the distance you traveled if you were driving at 55 miles per hour for 1.2 hours, 66 miles. Now, one of the drawbacks is, for instance, you're trying to use a side function, basically an exponential, or maybe you want to multiply an average by something. So let's say we were going to just take a couple numbers. I'm going to make up numbers. Maybe we want to do 5 average, and what happens is usually when we type AVE, it would come up with formulas. So you have to put in, let's say I want to go 5 times the average. So you get that, you have to put an operator between everything. Definitely between numbers, we're used to that, but it also has to go between functions. So if I want to do 5 times the average, and let's use average, and I want to do the average of these numbers over here, and then hit enter, it'll give me the right answer. But without that time sign, let me go back to it. You can either double click the cell to get the formula back, or it shows up here in this formula line. If I get rid of the star, it assumes that it's just text, and it will give you an error. So if you ever come up with this error name, more than likely all you did was forget to put an operator between either two different functions or a number in a function. We can do 5 plus if you want, and then see that it actually is 5 plus 4.5. Alright, so that's the basics of spreadsheets. One of the other more powerful things is, for instance, maybe you want to come up with a numbered list. Oh, by the way, if you don't want to work with this sheet and you want to save it but not see it anymore, you can always add a sheet down here at the bottom, and it comes up with a clean sheet, and then you can switch back and forth between your sheets here on the bottom. Let's say I want to come up with a numbered list, or even a date range. So let's say I go June, oops, can't even type, June 1st, and I'm curious what will happen. June 4th, every third day. They say this works, but I've never tried it. If I drag that little corner down, I didn't do it. Let's try something else. Let's try June 1, June 2. It switches them over to dates. Now there's ways you can change that in the settings. But let's see what happens if I drag the corner down. It'll increase the day by 1 a day. Now, June 1st, June 4th. Let's see what happens if I drag that. I'm assuming it'll figure out that I want to skip every third day. It doesn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'll only do sequential. Boring. If you want to create a numbered list, like, first payment, second payment, third payment, something like that, the way to do it is to put 1 in the first cell, and then you create a formula which is the first cell, click on the first cell, so that it'll be B1, and you add on 1. And hit enter. Now, if we take cell number 2 and drag it down, it should just increase by 1 from there on out. And it does. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. For some reason, I don't know why it will do dates just by choosing 2 of them, but if you just choose 1 and 2 and drag it down, it just gives you a bunch of 1s. So for numbers, you have to add on how far you want to go. Alright. That's good for now. We'll do advanced stuff later.